Well, there we have it. We can go early. I feel. I don't want to say I feel sorry for the actual famous people, but this ceremony started local time at 5 in the afternoon.
Oh
I guess
God.
that isn't too. Come to think of it, though, that wouldn't be too dissimilar to the Oscars because it would be 5 Pacific, right? If it airs at 8 Eastern,
Yeah.
so I guess in that respect, it was just we're climatizing all the famous people. Get ready for a show at 5, and then in 2 weeks, get ready for a show at 5. But yeah, a few format changes again. They didn't bother showing any awards live like they did last year, which meant that we had our winners actually roughly 2 hours ago because it was a 2.5 hour ceremony, trimmed down, of course, by what everybody saw in terms of
Mm.
everything. But yeah, I'm Ashley, that's Owen, and we are here to discuss the BAFTAs. And um, well, I guess I'll be discussing it at some point because I was the only one that sort of saw the ceremony in full. Um, Worth noting, we had 19 awards presented. Well, sorry, technically 20 because one of them was the outstanding contribution to British cinema,
Mm.
going to Medi Cinema, that was presented. So technically 20 out of the 28 were done before the show even started airing. So yeah, we had
Ridiculous.
Tennant backstage with his wife Georgia, and he's a bit nervous. And Georgia's there, is like, well, I only came here for the gift back. Um, and then in his mirror, he saw Helen Mirren and Jim Broadbent, and then Brian Cox, who started not singing but at least reading sort of Amelia Perez sort of style. The first line or a version of Proclaimers 500 Miles, which then leads to Tennant and his kilt going around backstage and then going through the audience doing 500 Miles with McAvoy and Camilla Cabello and what's her name? Anna Kendrick, Common Domingo, who was really into it. Um, Celia Emery as well, which was a bit random, but did a good job. The opening monologue had some nice jokes, although apparently some of them got cut. Um, they cut down a lot of more of the Trump talk than actually happened in the room. There was a thing, but they basically mentioned how Brutalist's architecture was the boldest architecture in film, apart from Trump's hair in The Apprentice. And then it transitioned to, and speaking of villains, um, and then that was transitioning into Nosferatu and Heretic. Obviously, well, Heretic only I think had one nomination. Well, obviously Nosferatu had a handful, but yeah, they basically cut about Trump hadn't seen The Apprentice because it's a 15 certificate, at least in the UK, and it's not on Nickelodeon. And then saying how because he said Trump's name so many times, it would probably like Beetlejuice, and all of a sudden he'd show up. Which, I mean, probably not. There was also some bits that got trimmed down, referring to Conclave and things like that. The weird thing is, like the Pop Idol stuff that they cut out, slash American Idol for you guys in America, and that Tucci, who plays uh, Cardinal Bellini, makes the best Bellini drinks, all got cut out for something that clearly didn't sound like it landed when they were talking about, hundreds of people in a room trying to work out who should be the next leader. Um, a battle between diversity and so progressiveness and the standard uniformity. And it was like, oh, so just like the meeting for announcing the next James Bond, and like nobody really sort of, it was like the most. This is where the canned laughter should have gone, guys. It didn't really gel, so I'm amazed that made it in, but like just making fun of Stanley Tucci didn't make it in. Weird. And then we actually get to the awards, and of course the benefit of this is, in this presentation form, Owen doesn't know what won, so he's kind of finding out live action for some of these. So they started off with visual effects.
Okay, let's go to that.
Which went to Dune Part 2.
So that would be a win for both of us.
Beating out Better Man, Gladiator, King of the Planet of the Apes, and Wicked. Next up was Best Children's Family Film, which unsurprisingly went to Wallace and Gromit. Although the bloody hilarious thing is when it won, I don't know whether this was an in-joke thing or not, but when Nick Park's reaction to winning was literally the fucking Wallace and Gromit, thing. Moving his hands like he's excited, sort of thing.
Oh, do me a favor, because I'm a little behind on the list here. Mm-hmm. When you reveal who won, just make sure you reveal what we went with.
We
I don't have it.
With it. That's why I did.
Yeah, we're 2 for 2 right now, according to this.
Then outstanding debut.
Okay.
We got correct as well. It did go to Kneecap.
Kneecap
gets an award.
3 for 3. As it should.
Then, because I'm going by the way they were actually presented,
that's
rather
fine.
than what the broadcast was, because we do jump here to stuff that got also awarded tonight.
Okay.
So first up, we had production design.
Did I get that real quick? Production design, which would be 4th. Okay.
Which, it was one we deliberated over because it was open as to what it could have been, and we got it wrong. It didn't go to Conclave, it did go to Wicked.
Okay. So we are 3.
Then next up we had, I always get confused as to what they call it. I think it's best film not in the English language, rather than international.
Hold on,
everyone else.
Yeah, it is literally best film not in the English language.
Even though everyone else has pretty much now moved it on to be international. Which I guess doesn't fit because Kneecap technically wouldn't be international. Although it is an Irish film, I guess, so maybe.
It does have subtitles. So.
That did go to Amelia Perez. The interesting thing about this is, and I can't remember whether it, because I think because I was trying to get everything together, I missed it. But I know there was a big thing at least made out on the BBC News feed when I was also keeping an eye on that. Audiard, despite all his comments previously trying to distance himself from her, he actually referenced and thanked Carla for her efforts, which is interesting.
What was the reaction?
I mean, there was just like pleasant applause. There was no sort of like shocks or anything. It was just mainly,
okay.
people on social media and that were sort of surprised that after everything that she might have done to hinder its potential success with some of her actions, that
It
we'd
doesn't.
still want to acknowledge her.
It still doesn't matter. That tells me that it's still in the same position it was in before everybody thought it was taken out. So
Yeah.
yeah, going with it at the Oscars probably the best.
Then we move into sound.
All right, I don't have that one listed. Give me a second. That is sound. Can we get a point, please? That'd be nice. Best sound.
Which was successful. Because
We both went with Dune.
and Dune won.
Okay.
Dune got its second award.
Hmm.
Then I guess it makes sense from there. They transitioned to score.
The score, which I don't have sound on the score. Okay. Best original score. Not surprising.
You hear all the time. So yeah,
Brutalist winner.
Brutalist got score, which is nice to see because
Yes.
Bloomberg is not your typical, I want to say, score
Mm-hmm.
artist. He's done a few. I think he did The World to Come a few years back.
Okay, I think we're
did
good
like
on
a few
everything.
short stuff, including with Corbet on one of his shorts. So
Okay.
good to see. Then we transition to what got aired again, because then we jump to the screenplays.
Oh Lord, what was first?
Starting off with original screenplay. This could have gone
well, wait a minute.
directions. And it turns
And it sounds
out
like it might have went the right one.
we overthunk it. Jesse Eisenberg wins for A Real Pain.
That is actually fine. I'm completely fine with wrong there. It's about time it wins something.
And then I can be short and sweet on adapted because, of course, they went with Peter Strawn for Conclave. Of course they did.
Yeah, Conclave has zero competition in adapted, as it should.
Then we had Best Animated.
Let's see if I ever think. That's not even a word.
Go ahead. Weirdly presented by Will Sharp and Jesse Eisenberg. I swear the only reason they got Jesse Eisenberg is there is like, look, it somehow references How to Train Your Dragon.
Oh God. Don't remind me.
And speaking of Universal, they lost. Wallace and Gromit wins. Wallace and Gromit does the double.
So technically speaking, we still have no idea what's going to happen at the Oscars.
Yeah. It's a 3-horse race, I think, between Gromit, Flo, and Wild Robot.
Well, Wallace and Gromit wasn't in this at all until BAFTA, so I feel that, yeah, that has to be the case now. I am organizing everything because I can.
Then we have the Take That performance, which I only just realized the reason why it happened is because of not that version, but the German DJ remixed version that appears in Film That Shall Not Be Mentioned.
Yeah, it sucks that that's how we got her take that performance, but I mean, no, guilty by association. Screw it. Go watch
Your
Better
fault.
Man if it's still in your theater.
Then, of course, we jump to more important ones, um, as in supporting actor. Um,
Why so early?
well, because we're already halfway through the ceremony at this point. Remember?
Oh yeah, I forgot. The rules don't apply. It's like the Who's Line points.
Let me just look. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This is award 11 of 26.
Okay.
So it's
Right now,
not
as of
that
this moment,
early.
we are 5 for 5.
It's not technically that early. But yeah, supporting actor goes to Kieran Culkin.
He has no competition now. This
who
was
was
the
not
only
able
chance.
who was not able to sadly accept his award
He was not
because
there.
yeah, a family member of his wasn't well, so he stuck with the family member, which meant that Eisenberg had to give the speech for him, and it was as Eisenberg awkwardness as you'd expect. To be fair, so was the other one for screenplay. The notable thing, though,
To be fair, he finally got to talk this weekend.
yeah, the notable thing though, that means a real pain 100%ed.
Oh yeah,
It was only nominated for 2 awards and it won both of them. So
that's awesome. And I think that means that Culkin is officially in the driver's seat to go without any blemishes on the record.
and then also interestingly, the other stat that I saw is it's certainly in recent times. It's only the second time that the movie winning original screenplay didn't make it into Best Picture at the Oscars, and that was 2009 when Peter Strawn, ironically, got adapted screenplay for Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy
Right.
that year and carried it for didn't Tinker didn't make it into Best Picture at the Oscars, but yeah. Then to supporting actress.
Okay.
Went to Zoe Saldana, who paid tribute to her trans nephew. And in case you're wondering if she referenced any other trans people, she did not do a Jack Audiard.
So basically, what we're saying again, when it comes to supporting at the ceremonies this year, it's been a clean sweep all along.
Yeah, seems to be, yeah.
Okay.
Then we again take a mini jump away. To because this is weird because 2 of these 3 aired in the first also won tonight, and then the other one got pushed into the second. So whatever.
Weird.
Best casting, which they were so proud about, and now it's also. So okay.
It's so important.
And it went to Honora.
Jesus Christ.
It's only when I bothered to look it up that guess who's part of the casting credits.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
What doesn't he fucking do on his pictures? Because it seems like everything
Use his own ideas.
You know.
I don't want to get that started. Let's just move on.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about that worthless piece of garbage anymore.
Okay, let's talk about editing then.
Conclave.
Well, I said kneecap.
You did. Were you right?
No, it went to conclave.
Yeah, there we go. Excellent.
It went to conclave.
As it should.
Then cinematography got presented.
This is when I took off then. Maybe. Cinematography, which goes to...
What was that?
Okay.
Did
I was just singing the song in my
you
head.
signal the brutalist horn?
I think I did.
Well, it got horned in more ways than one. Yeah, brutalist 1 cinematography as well.
Excellent.
Next, we had the outstanding contribution to British cinema, which, as we previously knew, went to Medi Cinema, doing cinema screens in hospitals for those that sort of, are in sort of long-term care in hospitals and can't, basically somewhere to get them out of the hospital cubicle / bay or bed that they're in. Which, little did I know, Simon from Trevor and Simon, one half of the comedic duo that was part of Live and Kicking on Saturday TVs in the 90s, is one of the managers for one of the cinemas at the minute. Which is it was a nice, like, holy crap, I know that man. Okay, he's got a hat on because he's trying to hide the fact he's basically Morris Gibb. He's like, I don't want you to know I'm bald. But good to see he's still helping out, things like that. The only thing I was a bit surprised about is how there still hasn't been anywhere within the centre of the country, really, where there's a Medi cinema area. There's a lot in the north, there's a few in the south, there's I think one in Wales and one in Scotland, but nothing like in the centre sort of area. So hopefully that, funding can happen for that soon, but we'll see. Then the other 5 of the also presented that they stuck cinematography in the 5 that we're going to talk about after the fellowship and before the 3 of lead actor, lead actress, and picture / film. Documentary went to Superman, the Christopher Reeve story.
I'm completely fine with being wrong on that one.
Meaning we have the continuing trend of a film that practically wins everything that it's at. And
not even nominated.
Doesn't even get nominated at the Oscars. So
makes sense.
Trend continues in that respect. Then for short.
Oh God.
I should have followed my Choco Pro Wrestling roots and gone Janken because rock paper scissors won. And what's annoying is they didn't actually show any clips from the thing, so I have no clue. Which means I did.
What did you go with?
I went with milk.
That's right. Okay.
Well, I don't know what I can't remember what your reasoning was, but the one that stood out there was Marion because, of course, it was I think exec produced by Blanchett.
Right.
It was the one that had the attention, if you want to call it that.
I went with Stomach Bug, didn't I?
Yeah. Then short animation. Could have gone 2 ways. Could have gone with what they felt passionate about, or they could have gone with what the Oscar told them to vote for. And they went with the Oscar one, so Wonder to Wonder got the win there for animated short.
We'll talk about it when we do our Oscar predictions, but to quote AJ, Wonder to Wonder is wild. There way, way, way too much claymation nudity in that short, 1,000,000%. And I'm going to leave it at that. We'll talk more about Wonder to Wonder next week. So we both got that, so that's good.
Yeah. Then makeup and hair.
You know it.
Which changed our lives.
Yes, it did. As it should.
Good old substance.
You
Getting
know
you
it.
in there. And then costume. Apparently not going to
Okay.
Wicked, going to Paul Tazewell. Considering all the other
Yeah.
announcement was Wicked, and then announcing who was representing Wicked. Apparently, Gwendolyn and what's her name that was in the Devil Wears Prada musical? From I can't remember if it's Desperate Housewives or whatever it was, but oh no, Ugly. Is it Ugly Betty? Either way, she was like Paul Tazewell, like okay. Can you clarify what it is that he's nominated for? Um, Given that we're out of the text, I think the one thing that I did see is with its win in production design, be expecting me and Owen to be saying Wicked for production design at the Oscars because it
I
literally
think it's a
won
good
everything.
bet.
It swept everything that it was could have been in. So. Next, we had Best British Film, which obviously is a wider open race because we have 10 nominees in here as opposed to the 5 or 6 for most of the categories. But victory for the Conclave again.
As it should be.
We then had the in memoriam spot with Goldblum playing as time goes by.
Mm-hmm. That was nice.
Well, the feature bookends were, even though it wasn't from the very start, James Earl Jones was the first sort of full screen tribute, and then pretty much close at the end we had David Lynch followed by Maggie Smith, who unsurprisingly were only just behind Dame Joan Plowright as well. I figured, given that we lost 2 of the dames from Tea with the Dames or whatever the hell it's called for you guys, or Nothing Like a Dame as it was known over here, it made sense to depict it in that manner. Next we had the Rising Star Award, which Owen went the right way in terms of the way it goes, in terms of who the public would go for. Sad that we
Yeah,
never
I
get the
will.
sort of voting figures, but I was David Johnson for Ian Romulus. Then
I thank you for getting me to look at this category as what it is, a literal popularity contest with GP and not just people that actually matter voting. That's why I went with David Johnson.
Then we moved into director,
Okay.
which we were successful on again. They did
Yes.
acknowledge Bradley Corbet's work for The Brutalist.
Your guilds are useless, people. Literally useless.
Then The Fellowship, which was Tom Felton. Because apparently him and Warwick have basically been friends ever since Philosopher's Stone.
Makes sense.
Something I didn't realise as well. I mean, I knew Warwick had an agency. I think it was called like Willow Short or something like that. And it's basically an agency that's people under 5 foot. Not necessarily people
That's
with
cool.
dwarfism like him, just anybody that's sort of, relatively small in size. And then also Willow Tall, as it turns out, for anybody that's over 7 foot. So they're not sort of typecast into sort of things either, which is a nice touch.
Covering all bases.
unsurprisingly,
Yeah.
got quite emotional about it
Oh
all,
yeah.
given that he lost his wife nearly just under a year ago,
Mm.
and clearly that's why he's probably taken a step back, at least from what he's been doing. But his kids have helped him through a lot, and I think it was Sponge, the person he said. He just said, "You know who you are." And the nice little touch as well was, "This award isn't for me; it's for all of you." No, wait, it's celebrating my career. Sod it, it's mine. Like,
Well said.
and then when he headed out as well, um, Tom took the award for him, and Warwick said, "Can you take the lectern as well?" Because they got obviously a special little lectern for him to be able to give his speech as well, rather than just sort of stand there. It was weird, like Tennant's presentation was basically like a stand-up comic. He was just walking around the stage with like a hand mic. The one little bit I do want to mention in terms of Tennant stuff, to be honest, he didn't do that much outside of the stage. There was just one bit, I guess, after Take That had performed and they were obviously transitioning the stage and whatever. And he was like, "Oh my word, we've got the second place in the Timothy Chalamet contest sitting right here. How are you doing, sir? You know, how long are you in the UK for?" And I think Chalamet said 3 days. And like, "Yeah, you're going to have to do better on the accent if you're going to come first." And he's even gone to the effort of bringing in a lookalike Kylie Jenner. Like, it's just random little touch. And then to the three. Best actor going to Adrian Brody for The Brutalist. Which
I feel like this, unless there's a surprise at SAG, which even though I went with it, I don't see that happening. But AJ's the only one of us that went with Brody for SAG. So, because AJ's still in the competition for SAG, technically.
Yeah.
So he's got SAG and guilds, but I mean, which are all the guilds overall. But yeah, he's the only one of the three of us went with Brody. So it tells me that Brody's probably going to, again, sweep pretty much this whole season. It's a boring choice, but I prefer boring versus undeserved.
Then again, at the same time, I was thinking whether that's BAFTA giving him acknowledgement because they never gave him the award, a couple of decades back because they went with Day-Lewis for Gangs of New York instead.
Sure.
Although, to be honest, if you remember back to that season, I think Day-Lewis won everything until Oscars happened, so is that happening in reverse? We'll have to see.
Possible. We'll see.
Then Best Actress. The only, to me, surprise from out of nowhere, really, Mikey Madison. All of a sudden,
she won for
at least can now be considered in the race because she won a BAFTA.
She won for Scream and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Nothing else needs said.
And then,
but again, no.
Yeah, and then Best Picture Film, whatever you want to call it. Mark Hamill presenting it to Conclave.
The very
rare occurrence. It happened last year. I'm pretty sure with Oppenheimer, but it hasn't often happened that the film that gets Best British Film also goes on to win Best Picture on the night. So, but an interesting ceremony, I would say, in the sense that Brutalist and Conclave, if you want to say that, were the big winners because they won 4 awards each.
That's fair.
But the fact that Honora had 2, Dune had 2, Amelia Perez had 2, A Real Pain had 2, Wallace and Gromit had 2, and Wicked had 2. Nothing really ran away with it like Oppenheimer did to some extent last year with its 7 from 13, or what was it, 15 or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Not everybody was able to sort of, get a 50% on their substantial stuff. Some people might say Honora might have 3 because of the Mikey Madison Rising Star thing, but Rising Star is just for the actor. It doesn't matter, okay, you might have done a performance in a film, but it's also, the up and coming thing, so it's not entirely pinned down to that performance in that film. It's just for the actual actor themselves. So yeah, I finished on 12, Owen on 15, which means I don't want to declare it 2 weeks away, but with a 10-point gap, Owen is probably going to be beating me in terms of the prediction stuff.
It's got an asterisk by it.
Yeah,
That's the only thing that sucks. I'm finally going to win, and it's the year. And it's the year that AJ is not able to participate the rest of the season.
It's annoying that we don't sort of have AJ sort of picks to fall back on as well to see what the true extent of where Owen would be in terms of stuff. But
I mean, technically though, he's in SAG.
Mm-hmm.
We still have SAG for the 3 of us.
Yeah.
He was all the guilds too, so the useless not happen again. Guilds mean nothing. The useless garbage that happened last night. I was 3 for 3.
Yeah, I'll briefly mention
Ashley
that. Honora did win.
2.
Honora did win original screenplay at
the unnecessary WGA because everything is not eligible anyway. So it beat a lot of things it shouldn't have beat anyway, but still.
In that sense, it was good to see Nickel Boys get adapted.
I'd rather something else, but I know what you're talking about.
And then Jim Henson did get documentary as well.
Yes.
So the rolling total on the guilds is Owen has 5 out of 9.
Mm-hmm.
And myself and AJ have 4.
Right.
With next week's SAGs being the sort of the thing that will finish that off at least.
It'll be the last time AJ is involved in the competition, technically.
Yeah. And yeah, we leave it at that. Overall, pretty good show. I think they did a good job in terms of what they put out. I think generally it was a good ceremony in terms of what won. Obviously, there's a few asterisks there for obvious reasons.
Yes. The fact that the substance literally just got makeup is a travesty.
Yeah, it's a shame it didn't get anything beyond that, but I mean, at least it won something. It's not a complete unknown. Complete Unknown went 0 for 6.
Yep.
Nosferatu went 0 for 5. I wouldn't say anything else missing from like the 3 nominations and 2 nominations is as acknowledgeable. Especially because Nosferatu was in a few of the key tech categories. And obviously Complete Unknown was in the best film section, so
right.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say I'm still here as well, but the thing about that is I'm still here is also Torres isn't here, so I mean, it's just another movie, right? And this in BAFTA for sure.
Yeah, but
Kneecap.
guess who showed up to the ceremony though?
Interesting.
Fernando Torres showed up because it might not have been nominated on the night, but their campaigning for 2 weeks' time will always go on, and visibility is there. Plus, I wouldn't be surprised if they're going to use that possibly to do the press tour over here, because I don't think if I have a quick look at my Film Distributors Association page that I keep a track of, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm Still Here opens this coming Friday along with The Monkey. So she's probably doing press for that with the right people, while she's here, before heading off to LA for a few weeks to do, I guess, the SAG run and the Oscar run.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, no comments in chat because we kind of went guerrilla on this one to some extent.
Yep.
But thank you to those of you viewing, lurking, as they say on Twitch. If that's not a banned word on here, who knows? We will be back tomorrow at the usual time of 6 Eastern, where myself and Owen will be doing our predictions for the Spirit Awards.
That's not going to be fun.
For next Saturday. And then I think from what our setup is, Tuesday we'll be doing a Q&A.
Tentatively speaking, right now we have a QA show, which will also be at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
I'll try and also make
next
clear
week
in the description for that one. Discussing Anora is sort of, off limits for that.
Yes, 1,000,000% off limits.
It can be about anything else. Anything else award season related. If you, excited because you've seen something for the first time. The one thing I will say, I guess my local cinema has done its selections for what it's showing for award stuff, which means they're showing The Brutalist for the first time, because I don't think they showed it a few weeks back when it opened. They're showing Conclave again, or maybe for the first time, I can't remember. I know it's not the same for some of the cinema chains. And certainly for my local one, whether anybody will take up on it, I don't know. They're doing a limited cinema release for Substance as well.
Nice.
None of the others are apparently committed, but, it depends, I guess, how desperately people don't want to watch Bridget Jones and or Captain America and or any of the other big releases coming out in the next few weeks. Be it Monkey or I guess there's nothing big releasing the weekend of the Oscars, so maybe there's the chance of something happening there. But either way, so yeah, we'll be back later, as I say, roughly 24 hours from now if you're watching live, for the Spirits tentative Q&A Tuesday, and then are we doing I'm trying to think, are we doing post show for SAG, or are we just going to do that the Monday after SAG and Spirits?
I thought we're doing Spirits and SAG on Monday.
Okay, so it would be the day after.
I think
the day after the SAGs at least, yeah.
Because then we have our Oscar predictions the day after.
Yeah.
I don't remember if it's a live show on Sunday and a live show on Monday or not.
Let me double check. Double check
I
the
sent you
messages.
the list. I don't have it in front of me, unfortunately.
Double check the messages. Just so you guys are clear of what's going on. So you've got, you know, because I don't try and put these things too long. Yeah, Spirit SAG recap will be on the Monday. Oscar predictions on Tuesday. Then myself and Owen will be back for the recap of the Oscars live as soon as the show goes off air.
Sunday night.
And then the three of us will be back on the Monday. Where I want to say, if anybody wants to have a Nora in there, picks as to what they would have in terms of, you know, their personal picks, I think we'll allow it for that. But obviously don't expect probably either of those guys, or maybe me if I watch it again, to have it in our list. But yeah, the Monday after the Oscars,
Oh God,
rather
I
than being
1,000,000% guarantee you.
Yeah.
No way in hell. No way in hell. But
Yeah,
it's our
Monday
Oscar
after the
predictions.
Oscars will be, you know, our personal picks for the Big Eight.
And then our award season will be done until August.
Mm-hmm.
AJ's movie reviews will continue as they are rapidly coming out. We'll have more verses in the future. We'll have segments you loved in 2024 back this year, maybe more towards Horror Nights time. And Movie Club's coming back too, so get ready for that. I will be a special guest every once in a while, but it'll be Chris, AJ, and Ashley regularly doing Movie Club at least once a year. Once a week, take a shot, at least once a month.
Yeah.
But all that's tentative at this point. Brian just woke up. Thanks, Brian. Hope you enjoyed your nap. So, yeah, that's our show.
Yeah. We'll see you guys tomorrow, Owen. Wrap it up.
Yeah, so everyone, thanks everyone for watching. Thanks everyone for listening, whether live or in archive. And until tomorrow, boys and girls, always remember to have the best day ever. And that's all we got to say about that.